Welcome back, YouTube. So it's 5:42 p.m. I'm not eating at the Andre House today. It's, I swear, I'm gonna eat a meal down at that down in the zone soon. It's gonna happen. But yeah, today's not the day. So I'm wandering around this part of downtown, the good part of downtown, and so many. This is the part of downtown where the beautiful people are. So many attractive women coming in and out of Taco Bell Cantina. It's amazing what a popular little spot that is, and how many people have realized that in the middle of a part of downtown Phoenix, where most every place where you can pop in and chill out and get something to drink and get something to eat is really, really expensive, that Taco Bell Cantina is just this oasis of value in one of the best locations. And it's funny, I see some people in there that look like they're on the verge of homelessness or might even be homeless. And as long as they're buying something and they're not, disgusting and bothering people, nobody bothers them. And then I see other people that look like they're probably, downtown office workers that are making the big bucks. And actually had a pretty cool conversation with a guy that works at the baseball stadium, I think, or maybe he works at the other stadium, the basketball stadium. It's called Footprint Center now. But at any rate, he clued me into something that I thought was kind of interesting. Anyway, so I'm putting in my order. And as I said, I was planning on eating over at Andre House next to the, there in the zone next to the Human Resource Campus, Human Services Campus, whatever the hell it's called. And it almost looks like there's a tennis court up on top of that part of the building between the two towers. See the chain link around the edge? Wonder what's up with that. Anyway, got my walk signal. Now this is the funny part of downtown. At First Avenue is where it changes from fancy retail and offices and entertainment venues, and of course you got the Fry's grocery store over there and whatnot, and then some pricey residential towers. And then First Avenue right about here is where it kind of changes to government offices. As you can see, you got the 50 West Jefferson, where Five Guys is, and that used to be Patriot Square, and they still call it Patriot Square, but it just seems offensive to call it Patriot Square, because Patriot Square was this great little amphitheater and park that took up that entire square block. And city just demolished that. Ironically, demolished that on the year that the Thomas Brothers, or maybe Rand McNally, one of the big map companies, chose to use it as their cover for the Phoenix Street Atlas. So you'd buy the big map of, hey, here's Phoenix, and the landmark that was on the cover, by the time it was published, didn't exist anymore. But yeah, that was a place that meant a lot to me, and I used to spend a lot of time there. Sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, I'd just stand on the amphitheater and just sing acapella, just to try to make myself feel better when I was homeless and going through some tough times and going through a divorce. And now it's gone. And there's, the development that's there is nice. I mean, there's nice stuff there. There's a CVS there and comedy club over there, and you see Five Guys and Jimmy John's, and Urban Outfitters is there, and there's a little park in the middle. But that little park in the middle, it just doesn't feel as public as the park that was there. And interestingly enough, they built that whole thing on top of the parking garage that was already there under the original Patriot Square. But anyway, that's kind of the last thing of that nature there. I mean, we still got this tower here, but I get the feeling that this tower is largely unoccupied. I know the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department used to take up several floors of that building, and they moved out when the sheriff's building was built, the one I've shown in several of my videos recently, over by the clerk of court office and the Justice Center. Yeah, when they built that, the sheriff pretty much moved everything out of here because this is rental property. And then the main thing that moved out of here is Wells Fargo Bank used to have a lot of corporate offices here, and then a really grandiose branch right there that I went to on the regular. And I feel like they used to even have, and now I kind of walk over there and see if it's still there. They used to have like a museum, like a banking museum of the history of Wells Fargo Bank. With all the other Wells Fargo stuff out of there, I would imagine that little banking museum is probably out. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be much in that little complex there. And as I said, it's mostly government when you go west of here. Like that's Phoenix City Hall right there, and that's the Good Building, which is again City of Phoenix offices. It's functionally a part of City Hall. And then that's the old courthouse, which at one point in time was Phoenix City Hall, I think in like the 19-teens or the 1920s. And it's called the old courthouse. That's actually the building I was divorced in. And you got and it's still used by the Maricopa County Superior Court, but then you've got most of the Maricopa County Superior Court complexes on the other side of it. But yeah, the bulk of everything as you start to go west of here is it's government offices. Why am I walking? I'm walking this way because I wanted to see if and there goes another light rail train. I wanted to see if that catwalk looks so neat to me. Someday I just want to walk across it just to see what exactly it connects, but I just don't think it's publicly accessible. I often wonder what it would be like to live in one of these downtown towers. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be very happy with it, but because I probably wouldn't be able to like crank up my music, although I never crank up my music anymore, but I'd be worried about, watching movies with my subwoofer going in my home theater system and people being mad about it. But yeah, walking through this little courtyard, notice the signs are blank. And it feels very abandoned under here now. I'm not sure if that's where the Wells Fargo museum was. I know it was through this walkway. At least these walkways are still available, or still open. But yeah, it just feels very abandoned under here. Not sure what's up with those rocks, but they look cool. Garage elevators. And maybe the parking garage is still generating business, because parking is definitely a need for downtown, because most people drive downtown and drive out of downtown. Not a lot of people that use downtown actually live downtown. Yeah, I feel like the Wells Fargo Museum was here. It's definitely been vacated. Kind of bummed. I never actually went into it. But Hey, what's up? Doing pretty good. I just came from Taco Bell. I fucking love that spot. That guy definitely on his way home from working at Taco Bell Cantina. So I can't remember if the little museum was on that side or this side. Whatever it is, it's gone. And I just remember looking at the displays on the outside, and it looked really neat. It was one of those things I always wanted to pop in and take a look at. I mean, when Norwest Financial bought out Wells Fargo, they rebranded everything to Wells Fargo just because Wells Fargo has a pretty rich history of providing banking services in the United States Western frontier, and thus their Stagecoach logo. And yeah, I figured that would have some interesting displays in it, but it's gone now. So this is an interesting bit of history here. That's the Orpheum Theater, which the city of Phoenix restored, and it's owned by the city of Phoenix. And as you can see, it's kind of incorporated into the City Hall building that was erected behind it and sort of wraps around it. But the only show I've ever seen here was Donovan, as in the 60s folk singer. And I met Donovan, and it was an amazing show, and it was great meeting him. It was a hell of a awesome experience. And gosh, I went to that show with Elise, my daughter Lily's mother, and she was pretty pregnant at the time, if memory serves. And I remember drinking so much red wine with her that when I went in the bathroom and puked. That was classy. But yeah, they do a lot of musicals here. Board Teachers Comedy Tour. Not really seeing any posters of anything here that's of interest to me these days. And even if I did, it's not like I can... Oh, John Christ. He's a stand-up Christian comedian. He's actually quite funny. Justin Willman, Magic for Humans in Person Tour. Interesting. Yeah, the posters and stuff they have not... I mean, I don't think I'd go to see John Christ. I enjoy watching his stuff on YouTube, though, for sure. In fact, I've been kind of infatuated with Waymo since that's started to have service in the area where I live. Well, this is neat. We go Orpheum Theater, 1929. This has been placed on the Phoenix Historic Property Register and the National Register of Historic Places. It's nice to see something being preserved. Hey, there's the I-10 West Rapid. What time is it? 5:53. That would have been the bus I would have been getting on to get my ass to work over at Amazon. Ouch. Speaking of Waymos, there goes a self-driving Waymo right there behind the Rapid bus. John Christ has got one of the most entertaining random Waymo videos of like the first time he used a Waymo. I'm not sure if he was here or if he was in San Francisco. It's kind of really hard to tell from the video, but I get the feeling he was here in the Phoenix area when he made that video. But I mean, that guy's a really funny guy anyway, and most of his YouTube stuff is really entertaining. So to see his take on Waymo is really something, and it's just shot like your average, like an average nobody would shoot like a social media video. It's vertical video, and you can tell he just shot the thing holding his smartphone. So kind of funny to see something of that nature, of just like, oh my God, I'm in a car and there's nobody driving and it's driving itself kind of video from somebody who's a minor celebrity. I'll try to post a link to that. Try to remember to put in the video description, post a link to that, because it's when I was binging on like videos about Waymo, that was one that just really had me rolling, and certainly something I didn't expect to see in that particular YouTube rabbit hole. This is interesting. Look at this. So these rocks here that block the walkways and that are along the sidewalk and stuff, at one point they were added as kind of a security measure to stop people from plowing into this courtyard, into the court building with motor vehicles. You know, it seems like it would be a more functional, a better solution for the City of Phoenix Municipal Court to quit upsetting people to the point where they want to plow vehicles through municipal buildings. They got those in front of City Hall as well. Let's just say Killdozer changed things. Big fan of Killdozer, what can I say? Anyway, yeah, there's another view of Phoenix, the Phoenix City Hall right there, and I'm on the other side of the edge of the Phoenix Municipal Court. But I just saw where somebody wrote with a really good quality permanent marker on this rock and wrote, "Fun fact, this rock is from local mines that have visible core samples." Yeah, that actually is a fun fact. Here you can see where the core samples were taken out. That actually makes me want to know more about these rocks. I mean, I remember they were put after the whole Killdozer incident when suddenly people were there was in other places, people were plowing vehicles and things that looked like tanks into municipal buildings of cities whose city governments had destroyed their lives. And hopefully my next go-round here in the Phoenix Municipal Court doesn't destroy my life. But I gotta admit, I have some anxiety over that. I believe I go back to court on July 16th. Memory serves. Try to not forget that date. Well, I thought it was all on top of it, earlier this month, and then come to find out it was the hearing was in July, not June. And I did end up having a good sandwich. I said I was going to get a traffic jam. I actually got a hot pastrami sandwich over there at Stickler's. I love Stickler's. Stickler's is great. They're located in a historic building. That was the original Phoenix Power Company building. So before there was APS, I don't want to say before there was SRP, because I think SRP was actually around before the Phoenix Power Company, but SRP wasn't the power company. SRP handled all the water and irrigation. SRP handling power is something that came later in the history of Phoenix, as SRP made a lot of hydroelectric plants, which to me is the best way to generate electricity, because rather than burning fossil fuels or any of the other ways of generating electricity, and people talk about solar farms, but solar farms are not as efficient as a lot of people think they are, because solar farms, the amount of carbon footprint and what have you that goes into making those solar panels isn't very well offset by the amount of electricity that they produce, especially when all is said and done, compared to just more traditional ways of producing fuel, including but not limited to coal. But yeah, SRP, their fuel their electricity is generated by hydro, which is just simply water being moved by gravity going downstream, turning turbines to generate electricity. And I'm glad that my electricity comes from that electrical system as opposed to SRP, or not SRP, but I mean APS. But I would imagine APS. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what really became. I don't know the history of that, of what became of the Phoenix Power Company, and then APS. APS I know has been around since I was a kid. I do remember listening to my dad and my stepmother when I was a child in the late 70s and early 80s, complaining about the APS bill. Random things I remember. There's the federal courthouse, which I've mentioned several times. The Sandra Day O'Connor United States Courthouse, Federal District Court. I said that all the entertainment venues and districts are on the other side, and I should have. And it's just all government buildings on this side, and it largely is. And that building there is mostly just a parking garage for City of Phoenix employees, not to be confused with county employees. Although it does say public parking there, so pretty much anybody who works anywhere can park there. But that's definitely a City of Phoenix parking garage, as opposed to one that's owned by a private entity. But yeah, this concert venue on the left here, when it was built, I do believe it was called the Dodge Theater, and it's changed names a few times because it's one of those corporately named theaters, so every time some other corporation kind of takes it over, it changes. Currently called Arizona Financial Center. Wow, Sting is coming. Nice. I would love to see Sting. Yeah, I've loved Sting since the Police were a new band. Had I not walked over here, I wouldn't have even remembered when it was called Arizona Financial Theater, because it's hit that point where it's changed names so many times. I generally refer to it as the venue formerly known as Dodge Theater. And the funny thing is, people who have been in Phoenix for any length of time, they know what that means. It's like, oh, the old Dodge Theater, yeah. And I've seen so many good bands here. Probably the best show that I've ever seen in this venue was A Perfect Circle. And if you follow me at all, well. Like, you know, I'm a huge fan of Maynard Keenan, and you know, what do I like better? A Perfect Circle or Tool? God, you can stick that in your pussifer. I can't answer that question. I really love A Perfect Circle, and I really love Tool, both for completely different reasons, and both also for the same reason, that is Maynard Keenan. I will say both bands, they're not the same thing at all, other than both being fronted and having the same primary principal lyricist of Maynard Keenan. But boy, beyond that, musically so different from each other, and I will say A Perfect Circle's music definitely hits me in a different place than Tool's music does. And man, half of that show, I was just, probably 3/4 of that show, I was just like functionally mesmerized in a trance. And certain songs, and they played a lot of them, just when I hear them, when I'm in the zone, and boy was I in the zone at that show, just consume me. Like Ostriches and Brenya and Three Libras. That's a no-brainer. I love singing that one at karaoke, by the way. One of these days I got to get a recording of me singing Three Libras, because I tend to bring the house down with that one. Unfortunately, most of the other songs that I really like by A Perfect Circle that I would love to sing are not available for karaoke. Although the Noose came out for karaoke earlier this year, or maybe late last year, and I do have a YouTube video on this channel of me singing that, and while the quality isn't the greatest, you can see my vocals are pretty on point on it. So and about the only thing, if I could change it, is at the end of the song, Maynard is harmonizing with himself due to the magic of layered vocals in the production, and I'm singing the part that you know. There's one part that's in the track and one part that you sing. Is kind of the nature of how that's handled with karaoke tracks when it's done right, and that particular one, and I get why it goes with the part that it has you sing, because that vocal, and it's all sang and around, that vocal part starts first, so it just kind of keeps you singing that. I don't know, I wish at one point it kind of shifted to where you could start singing the other part of the round. But yeah, it comes off a little monotonous for me singing the part, especially since I'm at that point I'm trying not to drown out the other the other vocal, which they're both lead vocals. It's not like one is a lead and one is a harmony. That's the way around works. But yeah, I'm just singing with your halo slipping down, your halo slipping. Your halo slipping down, and I'm just singing that part, and it's very repetition. It's the same thing, and when the other vocal comes in, which is not long after that part starts, it goes. Hang on, get it in my head here. It goes. I'm more than just a little curious how you plan to go about making your amends to the dead. And I just find that particular vocal and that particular lead and the medley that goes with it and the lyrics to be a lot more compelling. And given the choice, yeah, I'd rather be singing that part. I don't know, just now how that track could be changed to facilitate from singing with your halo slipping down, your halo slipping. More than just a little curious how you planning to go about making your amends to the dead. I don't know, some way to put it together. And maybe someday I'll do a full cover of it if I get better at using music production software and stuff. But yeah, that show was hands down the best show I've ever seen there. But other really great shows I've seen in that venue, I saw Korn, and this is definitely like middle-aged Jonathan Davis. It's probably about 6-7 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. But definitely Jonathan Davis was to the point of rocking his skullet. Oh shit! I'm like walking in front of cars. Dee-dee-dee. Yeah, I got the right of way ahead of you, dude. Guy turning left from the street I'm walking down seemed very bothered. I started crossing in front of him, but I'm pretty sure I had the right of way over him at a stop sign turning left as me as a pedestrian crossing the street. Boy, now that I've been spending time at the Human Services campus, these are really catching my eyes. Is that particular brand of water, the only place I've ever seen it is there in that Welcome Center and there in that Human Services campus, because that's what they give away to keep everybody hydrated. And it does make me sad the way the zone homeless community and the people around here, the street people around here, the way they just litter. In fact, I actually have one of those water bottles in my pocket right now. From looking, there's another one right there. I have one of those water bottles, I think. Might have come from someplace else, but I think in my pocket, I put it in there because I got one right there in my pocket, where I balled it up like that to throw it in with the rest of my recycling in my car. And kind of kicking myself in the ass because I have been back in my car since I balled that in my pocket, and I really should have pulled it out of my damn pocket and put it in with the rest of my crap. But sometimes I forget to handle stuff. Forensic Service Center. I mentioned that was a county building, but I couldn't for the life of me remember exactly what it was beyond a large parking lot. But yeah, on this side it's the Forensic Service Center, which I'm not sure what all that entails. It doesn't say Maricopa County Sheriff, it just says Maricopa County. So I don't know. I really don't know. I probably want to start, as much as I'm sure everybody just loves my footage of walking through the zone. I did have somebody getting kind of threatening the last time when I was heading in before lunch. About walking, get that camera out here, and I don't know if y'all can hear them in the background, but I probably should stop filming soon. This entire square block is vacant. Now, I don't remember what used to be on this side of the alley. On the other side of the alley is where St. Vincent de Paul used to be when I was homeless down here. But as you can see, next street over, still lined with tents all the way down. This side, and I was showing this in my video the other day about how it's been cleared out. And interestingly enough, this alley is not fenced off, but they've got a sign that says street closed, so theoretically, I could probably walk through there, but probably a good idea not to. This is interesting. Maricopa County Facilities Management Department contractor parking. Warning, parking this law is at your own risk for Maricopa County. In terms of, you're parking near the zone. Good luck with that. It's at your own risk. Somebody might steal the shit off that trailer and make a shelter out of it right on the other side of the road. So, at your own risk. Jury parking. That's interesting. I guess this is where, if you get someone for jury duty, this is where they direct you to park now. It used to be, oh wow, it actually says Maricopa County Juror Parking Entrance. That's interesting, because the last time I got someone for jury duty, they directed me to park in that garage over there in the distance, the one above the clerk of court, Superior Court, clerk of court office. That's where they were directing people to. Now this is a dysfunctional crosswalk. Look at that, it ends right there. There's no place to go directly across. You gotta navigate around these chains. And there's still some private businesses down here. managing to get by in the zone. This one looks like it's some kind of looks like they do air conditioning duct work or something of that nature. Sounds like I can hear people talking inside there. So yeah, somebody threatened me. Well, they didn't threaten me. I shouldn't say threaten me, but somebody was definitely throwing out hostile words about me having a camera. So I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Wasted 30 minutes of everybody's time anyway. But yeah, this block, they've definitely got cleared off. And there's, a business here, so I'm sure this was, I would imagine, as they're trying to comply with that lawsuit. And the lawsuit was filed, for those who are not familiar with the lawsuit against the zone and why the city of Phoenix is attempting to clean the zone. City of Phoenix spent quite a bit of money defending the lawsuit to try to not have to clean this up. The city of Phoenix straight up wanted to ignore this. Thank you, Mayor Kate. They lost the lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed by business owners. Now, was the owner of this business one of those? I really don't know. The only business owner that's been very vocal about his participation in it, and I think he's listed as plaintiff number 1, is the owner of the Old Town Sub Shop, which is on the other side of the zone. But I have noticed that the areas that they've got cleaned off the best, and they've got tents and stuff from in front of them where they got the big signs that says this area is close to camping to abate a public nuisance, are in front of businesses that are functioning like this. And there it says, if you're in need of shelter or services, please visit the Brian Garcia Welcome Center, 206 South 12th Avenue. That's where I went earlier today. Somebody there, very helpful people in there. They're also getting me a birth certificate, and they seem to think it'll probably show up within about 3 to 4 weeks, maybe quicker. And to make sure that I get it when I'm at risk of losing my place, they're having it mailed to the Brian Garcia Welcome Center. They're having it mailed to there, and then from there I will be. They said they will text me. So I was chilling here last night. Of all the places I was as I said last night, I spent quite a bit of time in the zone, mostly just because I was loneliness and trying to find some sense of community. And I don't know why of all the places in Phoenix I'm doing that here, but loneliness will make a person do crazy shit, I'll tell you that. But yeah, there's one guy that came by that was wearing some interesting decorated clothes, and he asked if I knew what that was there. And that's definitely a new facility on that corner. As you can see, that's a corner that the city has cleared off. It looks to me like one of those places for corporate fuel accounts. And I can't think of a name of an example of it, but I've certainly seen other businesses like that, where basically if you're a company and you've got a lot of vehicles, like work vehicles that you need to go get fuel in, the people that operate those vehicles will be given keys where they have access to go in there and just turn on the key and pump fuel into the vehicle, and then it all gets billed to, whatever corporation owns those vehicles, company owns those vehicles. So I believe it's one of those places. Love the Triceras hops. Anyway, I really need to stop this. I'm heading back into the Human Services campus. I really don't need to, and I'm not going to go eat at. I'm not going to go eat over at Hunter House, because my belly is full. I just ordered the one burrito like I said I was going to, but the guys I was talking about that I had a really good conversation with, he gave me a burrito. I didn't even ask him for it. I just said that he had ordered it and that it wasn't something he said he took one bite out of it. It was nothing that he ordered. They messed up his order and gave him an extra burrito. He says, if you want it. I'm like, hell yeah. But he told me about an app. I think it's called Rockbox. So I got sidetracked. But I was going to say, I was there inside the people that were loitering in that area. They're gone now. I didn't think they'd stay there very long. As I was putting my order in, Hook by Blues Traveler came on. And I just love that song. I'm not a huge Blues Traveler fan, but I'll be honest, they're another one of those bands that I've never heard a Blues Traveler song that I didn't like. Never heard such a thing. Every Blues Traveler song, every Blues Traveler album, and I don't play my Blues Traveler CDs a lot. I never have played my Blues Traveler CDs a lot, but every time I play them, it puts me, it's a good vibe, and every Blues Traveler song I've heard, I have liked. Full stop. It's not the stuff that compels me to play the albums over and over, like, say, an A Perfect Circle album or a Tool album or even an Ed Sheeran album, but good vibes, good music. And I've probably told this story before, but it's been a while since I mentioned it, and it bears repeating. The very first day that I drove a taxi in Tucson, Arizona for Allstate Cab Company, I don't know if it was my first passenger, it was certainly one of my first passengers. Within the first hour or two I was driving, was John Popper of the Blues Traveler. And a Blues Traveler. And I did not recognize him, because at that point all my experience with watching music videos of Blues Traveler is this great big fat guy with a harmonica. And the John Popper I met, while not skinny, was reasonably fit, and was not fat. And this was shortly after, and he's been very public about this, so it's not like I'm putting anything private out here, but he's been very public about the fact that at one point he went into and maybe I can link an interview where he's talking about this, but he was very public about how at one point he went into an airport toilet while he was on tour, and it was one of those kind of toilets that comes directly out from the wall, and his weight caused the toilet to break, and he was stuck there on a broken toilet, and they had to come get his ass out of it. And he just said it was one of the most horrifically embarrassing moments of his life, and it brought him to a personal epiphany of oh yeah, waiting for a sign that I need to do something about my weight. That was the sign. And he got the gastrointestinal bypass surgery, which was not such a common thing back then. And he got the surgery, and I met him not long after that, and certainly before he had been public about that, and before there'd really been any interviews and stuff of him, and he was on tour. And like I said, the John Popper I met was not a big fat guy. He looked stocky, say that, but he looked very fit and was really friendly and really energetic. And I drove him from a theater down to a club downtown, and he was trying to get people to come out of in the club. Hey, I got the coolest cab drivers. Anybody need a cab? And he was trying to put people into my taxi. And I think he did. I think he got some random young couple that was looking for a cab, put them in my cab. And man, I wish I'd have swapped numbers with him. Because I felt like I spent roughly an hour with John Popper, and we had a great time, a great conversation, talked about music, and it was quite a while before I even realized who he was, just because he looked so physically different from all the videos and everything, pictures and everything I'd ever seen of him. But yeah, he was. I'm just being friendly cab driver, just making small talk. I'm like, so what brings you to Tucson? He's like, I'm here on a tour and blah, blah, blah. And he's talking, and it's when it clicked to me who he was, and I'm thinking, man, this is one of the biggest, that I've driven some pretty famous musicians and stuff prior to that, but I'm thinking, man, this is one of the most famous people I've ever had in my cab. And I didn't have a clue for the last 30 minutes. But yeah, good time. So anyway, I'm sitting in, about 2 hours ago, I'm sitting in Taco Bell Cantina, and Hook comes on the radio, and that's just one of those songs that just gets me going. I'm singing along with it, and this guy that was sitting over in the middle table where I normally sit is, oh, you like the song I picked out? I'm like, you picked this out? And he starts telling me about how there's this app, but they don't really publicize it, called Rockbox, where you can put requests to play on the system there. So I downloaded it. I'm trying to create an account. For some reason, I'm unable to create an account. And you have to he says you got to create an account, log in on your account, and then use GPS to show that you're physically in the video to record, or that you're physically in the place where the music is playing in order to play music on it, which is fine. That stops people that are across town from being assholes and, putting Baby Shark on the... Which, full disclosure, I've used credits on on the what's the big jukebox software? Oh, I forget the freaking name of it. Touch Tunes. I've used Touch Tunes credits to put Baby Shark and other similarly annoying songs on jukeboxes of bars that I've left that I was annoyed at. But yeah, he said it stops you from doing that. But yeah, for some reason I couldn't make an account, and I don't know what that's about, and I might try it at a later time. But yeah, I stayed there for a while, and he gave me that extra burrito and told me that at one point they were trying. So apparently he knows somebody's a manager there. But he said at one point they were trying to actually bring in a DJ and karaoke there, but that it was they couldn't afford the licensing or something. And because I mentioned to him that, yeah, I used to go in there all the time, and they had music videos on, that I liked the music videos because it would show at the bottom of the music video the artist and title. And as a karaoke DJ, that sometimes keyed me into some songs I hadn't heard before that I wanted to, it's like, ooh, this is a good jam. I need to add this to my library and make this part of my repertoire of things I play as a DJ. And yeah, he said that, yeah, they had to get rid of that because it was costing too much money. Something about music licensing, and I don't know the details, and I'm sure he probably doesn't know the details either, but apparently he knows enough about the management to know a little bit of what's happened there. Now, he said he worked at one of the sports stadiums, so I don't know if we're talking about some reasonably attractive dark-skinned women walking together right now up 9th Avenue. And I'm not turning the camera that way because not trying to upset people, but that was some eye candy that was unexpected. Anyway, so yeah, bummed I couldn't get that app to work, but yeah, he was telling me his life pretty much, because I tried to give him one of my business cards. I told him, I do that sort of stuff. He's like, oh. I said, well, if you know anybody who does any is hiring for something like that. I said, I'm really good at it. And he goes, oh no, my life revolves. My entire life revolves in a 3-block radius of right here. He goes, I don't have any life outside of 3 blocks from right here. And I'm like, fair enough. Well, that was great. The guy kicked me down a burrito, and the extra burrito on top of the burrito I ordered equals my belly's full right now. So there's no point in me going to Andre House. Might be too late for Andre House anyway. I think they serve at 5:30 p.m. and it's oh yeah, it's 6:24. It's probably too late. I'm not even sure why the hell I'm going to Human Services campus, because the only other thing I really needed to get there was I wanted to go into their DES office and check to see what the status of my medical insurance, my access, Mercy Care is, and see if they could help me with unemployment and also help me, while I'm technically still unemployed. Because if I could just get one unemployment check between now and when I get my next paycheck, like that might be the difference between me, being able to pay all my bills, not being able to pay all my bills. But yeah, I want to see if they can help me sign up for that, and then also I'll get signed up for an EBT card, because I tell you, a month of food stamps. A month of food stamps could make all the difference in the world. Now, I'm pretty confident I'm going to have some kind of employment within the next couple of weeks. I really am. But I don't know. I just got to keep on my grind. And right now, I'm just trying to keep myself occupied. So I'm heading back to the care campus, human resources campus, human something. I forget what the hell it's called. I'm bad at remembering stuff. But I know I'm a block away from it, and you can see bits of it from here.